My name is Ron Cook, and I came here in 1943. My parents brought me here from Idaho. I was born in Nampa, and thereafter, the big events were I remember going to work with my dad here at the dehydrator, and that's across from the Catholic Church. And I helped push the trays in and out of the hot to dehydrate the grapes. Yeah, it was nice. I remember the stores, the Andrews stores, the country store almost on every corner, and there was 13 churches and probably as many bars in town. And growing up, I remember all my school teachers. You know, we went to Hester School for 7 years, and my last year I finished and went to Snowden School, and yeah, it was just a life of everybody had something in common when they lived in Farmersville, is beans and potatoes, and but we just were all family. It was all together. We never locked our doors. If you borrowed something, you just took and left a note or let somebody know and then bring it back, and nothing ever thought about it. Cars were left open. All the you never even thought about locking a house up. Everything was there. The things that I remember most was growing up was the teachers that I was involved with. I had very good teachers. The town itself was first incorporated, I think, in 55 or somewhere along in there. And the big events was the Memorial Day parade. And I remember Sandy Robinson was the first sheriff that I remember come riding on the horses down the streets there, and we went to that very often. And I remember a lot of the queens that were elected there. I think Kay, I don't remember her last name, Kay was one of the first queens that was operated there. And then I remember Nichols, Florine Nichols, she was elected as queen there. And I know I'm just wandering all over, but anyway, it was like growing up in the first grade. I remember my dad going out and killing a couple rabbits and going down and selling them to a neighbor and coming back home and giving me the money to go to school to pay for my lunches, you know. And
Memories of the town.
well, the town was that they put a new theater, but it didn't last very long. It burnt down, and yeah, I do remember going to that one time, but it, like I said, it perished, and all the locations in town has been sort of changed from what they was. There was a great establishment of the Catholic Church, but Farmersville Boulevard was lined with the Free Holiness Church. The Wileys were there, and Fred Wiley. I grew up with Fred and Jim, and played Little League with Ralph Pizarro was my coach there, and we were the Dodgers. And yeah, we just I was 9 years old. I played 4 years for him, and I had a couple friends that I had. Robert Kemp, I think he played with the Rockets, and Jim Burke, he played with the Knicks, and Sam, he played with the Rockets. I had Jerry Dillard, Jim Wiley, James Freely, Pruitt, Jim Pruitt. I used to remember every one of them that we played baseball with. That was a big thing that when they introduced Little League Baseball into town. And yeah, I enjoyed my childhood. We grabbed our bikes. That was the quickest means of transportation. If you was a kid, if you had a bike, you could just go and do about anything, go anywhere. And that created a problem for my mother. She was worried about me being gone, and didn't think I'd get back safe. But we've traveled all over Farmersville on bikes. I had a paper route for 9 months, and I enjoyed that. And that was in the 8th grade. And Mr. Andrews was our person of interest that we shopped with. My mom would walk. We didn't have a refrigerator in those days, and she walked and got a quart of milk and put it in the window to keep it cool till we could drink it that evening. And they used to just take, and you just walk in and sign a tag, and every week you paid that off. You paid off a weekly tag that you paid off. And everybody worked. The wages when then was probably $1 an hour. You know, that was probably the standard. I even remember, I think 95 cents was standard for most of the people. I remember the farmers that came to Langford Station. They would come there and sit down and have their Cokes and fill the Coke bottles with peanuts and sit there and talk, and then they'd go back out and change their water. And Langford Station was a lot of center of operations of the town. A lot of the farmers come there and sit down and converse with one another. I remember Mac and Don were the owners of the Langford Stations there. And Mr. Brundage, he had an office there, and we bought our property from him. And then, of course, that our street was named after him, Brundage. Mr. Brundage, he lived there in Exeter, but he kept that office there. And I remember following my dad down there and making a payment. I think it was a monthly payment that we had to pay. My dad was, he loved to hunt dogs. And when he passed away in '56, he had 5 hound dogs and 2 feists, and that was a big thing that he ran with Mr. Barnes that had Barnes fruit stand, lived down on Visalia Road there. I knew almost every house in Farmersville, the people who lived almost in every house, from Ventura Street to Brundage. We stayed there till 75. The wife and I stayed there, and they was going to go to double sessions, and I didn't want my kids to have double sessions there.
And the agriculture was big. As you said, you worked at the dehydrator.
I worked with my dad. I just went down there and helped out. I was just a kid, and the fellow allowed me to help pull the trays out of after they had been dehydrated.
Yes.
And my dad worked there he scraped trays, and one year they gave him a penny a tray and they made too much money, and they cut them back to hourly wage after that. But they had 8th grade at Hester. Yeah, 1 through 8 at Hester. Yeah, Mrs. Rhoda was my sixth grade teacher. But they had all 8th grade right there. I went to school there when they didn't even have the cafeteria. I started there in 1950, and first 2 years we didn't even have a cafeteria there. We brought our little bag lunches or our little tins to carry our meals in, and we just sat down in between the buildings and had our lunches there on the ground there, you know. And I really, later in life, I got enough money that I could go down to the drugstore, and there they had the bar, or not a bar, but a place you could eat. And man, that was a big deal to go there and sit down and talk about that. And my Mrs. Marshall, she gave me the money enough to buy her a Fifth Avenue and a Mr. Goodbar. I never forget that, going down there and buying those for her and taking her back. I thought later in life, she never offered to give me one piece of candy. But I enjoyed all around, all the kids from Farmersville grew up with. one thing we had in common, we were all friends. We didn't have the gang problems or taking sides with that. We were just all family. And well, I remember back in the early '50s, that the Marriotts had a phone, and also the Phillips. They were both sisters, and they had party lines in. You just had a little deal you picked up off, and you talked. And the operator went and told Mrs. Marriott one time. She said, "Well, she just lives across the street from you. You could just walk over there and talk to her." And she had party lines, see, and she had listened in, and she knew where they lived. And I don't know what her response was, but yeah, they were the first to have the phones in Farmersville. And also they were first to have, the Marriotts were the first to have a television.
Can you explain what party line is to these young people?
Okay, a party line is where there's more persons on that line than you. You picked it up, and then if you hear somebody else talking, you would just hang it back up, because there was maybe 5 people talking on the same line, and it was considered a party line. And they had an operator that directed your calls if it was across the street or wherever. You know, they knew how to connect you to those people everywhere. They were the first to have a phone that I knew of in town, the Marriotts and the Phillips.
The Marriotts, what is that? Is that the family name?
That's the family that lived on Brundage Lane.
Oh, okay.
Brundage Lane, and it was, the father was Riley Marriott, and the mother was Ola Marriott, and I think they had about 9 children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then the next street down was the Plumleys, and then the Rosses, and then the Cooks, and then the Spanglers, and in fact, the Caseys lived where the Phillips is, and the Burks moved in. Yeah, we know. I just know all the history of the people, where they lived, and who we ran with, and things like that.
On the cafes and restaurants, what are the ones your family visited, or you visited back then?
Well, the Frosty stand was a hangout, because they had the Frosties there, and they had the 15-cent Sundays. And that was a big treat to be able to go there and stop and pull up and go and get there. When I used to come, and we didn't even, before they was incorporated, we had a sheriff that came, and he sat around town, and he took care of being the peacemaker in the town, you know. Yeah. It was, when they incorporated, you know, they had to do a lot of different, had to have a police. I remember the Colberts, you know, he was the first, well, he wasn't really first, but probably the second or third.
Before we had a city council in 1960, when they came in, who ran the city? Was it the Chamber of Commerce, or was there some community leaders, Lions Club? Who ran the city? Or was it the county that ran the city?
When did they incorporate?
1960.
Okay, well, they had people that people looked up to, went to. Community. It was a community thing. Oh. Yeah, people talk. Mr. Wiley was on the school board. Other people like that were part of the school board, you know.
And they would bring up their issues to the county, right? So, you know, the issues, you know.
Yes.
Because they were getting their services from the county.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And in 1968, there was a move to disincorporate, go back to county services. What did you think about that, or your family think about that? That was a big thing in '68.
Yes. Yeah, it was quite confusing to a lot of people. And yeah, there was just I think Jay Kemp was the mayor of the town at that time, you know.
I think what the residents were confused was their water bill going to go up higher, their utilities go up higher, so that's what they were concerned about.
Absolutely, yeah, because you had a lot of people that was on limited incomes, you know, and it made a big difference to them where they was, even at that time, they were little upper class people, had a little bit more money, had better jobs, and worked outside of the city, you know, and it made a difference that way. My mother's mother moved here first with her son, and then my mother and my dad and I moved here to join them.
And where was this from?
I come from Idaho,
Idaho.
Nampa, Idaho.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was born there in Mercy Hospital, but my dad cleared the lines for the electric company there, and then he moved here and he got into agriculture and stuff like that. But that was the main reason migrating to here.